Chapter 1166. Lose the fight, but not the battle. Li Changgong's words made his subordinates compliment him, and then complained about Jang E's vulgar fighting style. If you don't dare to fight head-on, what kind of master are you? How can you be the strongest in the Jiangnan region? But he was able to escape from the hands of our commander, so he has some strength. Li Changgong frowned slightly. It's a pity. I underestimated this chaos. I fell into his trap. The Earth War God on the side asked hurriedly, "Commander, what did he do?" Li Changgong laughed bitterly, shook his head and said, "He hid his strength and bet with me. I thought I had a sure win, but I didn't expect him to cheat me. This time, I have to pay him a lot of supplies as a bet." Everyone was fine after hearing this, just paying some supplies, which was not a big problem for the Northwest region. The entire Northwest region was Li Changgong's world, and he could give it to whoever he wanted. Li Changgong asked the Central War God to coordinate and ordered the Northwest region's Quartermaster Department to immediately transport a large amount of supplies to Jing. The five-pole War God naturally did not dare to have any opinions. But this time there were still some losses, which would somewhat damage Li Changgong's reputation. The Antarctic God of War said worriedly, "I'm afraid that some people in the region will not accept it and spread rumors secretly." Li Changgong sneered disapprovingly, leaning back on the sofa and crossing his legs. "They are just some scoundrels. What's so scary about them?" But his eyes turned cold. Someone in the region must have betrayed me. He was not a fool. After experiencing this battle, losing is naturally losing, but he will also look back on this battle. If you think about it carefully, you can find that Jang E didn't suffer any losses at all except that he seemed a little hasty at the beginning, and all the responses he made later seemed to have anticipated his abilities. This doesn't look like he was unprepared at all. And not many people know Li Changgong's abilities, and few people in other regions know his exact abilities. Only some people in the Northwest region have seen him take action. After the matter here is over, I will definitely conduct a thorough investigation. Clear out those who are secretly against me. The Sky God of War was named Qinling. Upon hearing this, she immediately smiled knowingly and said, "Commander, I have an idea. I wonder if I can tell you." Li Changgong glanced at her. Qinling was his most trusted confidant. Not only was she extremely powerful, but she was also very good at doing things. She was considered Li Changgong's advisor. "Oh, if you have any ideas, just say it." The Sky God of War showed a deep smile at the corner of her mouth. There was also a smile in her eyes, but there was no warmth. It was so cold that it made people a little afraid. "In this battle, Chaos used some tricks and barely tied with you. If we meet on the battlefield, he will definitely not be your opponent. Why not send back a message saying that you defeated Chaos, the strongest alien in the Jiangnan region? This will deter those villains. And the transport of materials can be explained as what is needed for the Qinling operation. As long as the matter in Qinling is resolved by then, and the 10% of the yuan ore is obtained, all problems will naturally be solved." Li Changgong frowned. Is this good? Although he said this, he was very satisfied in his heart. The Sky God of War is worthy of being the worm in his stomach, and he completely expressed his inner thoughts. Although he lost to Jang E on the surface, he still had to declare that he won to the Northwest region. And this kind of news was spread in an unofficial form. As long as enough people said it, it would become the consensus of everyone in the Northwest region. Even if it was discovered by Jang E or people from other regions one day, it could be said to be a rumor, and he, Li Changgong, did not say it himself. The Sky God of War nodded and said, "Everything is for the stability of the region. This is necessary. Besides, isn't it natural that you can win against Chaos? Jang E is completely shooting himself in the foot by opposing you." The Sky God of War lowered his head after saying this, with a hint of helplessness flashing in his eyes. Others may not know what happened, but she has already guessed it. How proud is Li Changgong? When he first arrived in Blizzard City, he used his power to suppress others and went directly to challenge Jang E. If he won this time, it would definitely not be as quiet as it is now. In addition, the materials that were required to be transported over, the so-called bet, you can know what's going on if you think about it carefully. However, even if Li Changgong really lost, Li Changgong must not lose. He must win big. Let all the people in the Northwest region know that the commander they trust is a child of destiny, or even a god in the end times. A few days later, the materials of the Northwest region were delivered. Those materials were divided up by several regions, and Jang E naturally got the most. There are a lot of supplies in his space. The material consumption at home is getting bigger and bigger. After all, for aliens, converting food into energy is the main way. But even so, Jang E's large amount of material reserves still makes everyone not worry about food. In Shengjing City, Liang, as a guide, led Jang E and his team around. Play. The city is much quieter than Blizzard City because the climate is colder in the north. Only Jang E and his people can enjoy the highest level of combat uniforms and can move freely in ultra-low temperatures of -70 or 80 degrees. Liang led everyone to a huge ancient well. She introduced with a smile, "This is the dragon-locking well. It is said that it was built by the evil monk Yao Guangxiao during the reign of Emperor Zhu Di of the Ming dynasty. There are 2 dragons locked below. The ice and snow on the ground around the dragon-locking well were cleaned very cleanly. This may not be possible in Blizzard City because the snowplows need a lot of energy to operate normally every day. Yuan Mine." Jang E's heart emerged with this name, and he suddenly realized why Yang Xinshin must let him participate in this operation. If he could really get that 1% of the Yuan Mine, perhaps he could rebuild Tianhai City. Thinking of the once prosperous metropolis, Jang E couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that the end of the world has only been here for more than a year. But why did he feel as if a century had passed? Things have changed and people have changed. That's probably the case. Liang was already there, smiling and introducing to everyone. People in Xinjiang come here during festivals and throw coins into the well to pray. It is said that it will bring good luck. Upon hearing this, the girl's eyes lit up immediately. Jang E didn't understand this very well, but women seem to be very interested in these things like praying for blessings, except Yang Xinshin. But the first person to run over was Fatty Su. He raised his right hand high. "I'll go first." Hee. Jang E looked at Fatty Su. His face was flushed with happiness, and his eyes were much brighter than usual. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Jang E even thought that this fat guy had become a little more handsome recently. At least after getting up every day, he knew to wash his face with facial cleanser. "Is this the power of love?" Jang E said lightly. When he looked at the smiling Liang, his eyebrows raised. What on earth does this guy want to do? Chapter 1167 Prayer. Fatty Su didn't have any coins either. He walked up to Liang and scratched his head stupidly. "Well, I don't have any coins. Can I throw something else?" Liang smiled and said, "No one has any coins. Just throw anything. It's just to express your feelings and hope for good luck." Fatty Su took out half a pack of biscuits from his pocket and threw it into the well. He lowered his head and secretly glanced at Liang, then put his hands together and began to make a wish. Soon, the women in the family lined up and threw some small gadgets into the well and made a wish. "I hope the Doomsday will end soon so that everyone can return to normal life. I hope we can always be safe. I hope there will be world peace." Jang E put his hands in his pockets and was reluctant to go over, but Zhou could have smiled and pulled his arm and forced him to go over. "Since we are here, just make a wish. Just think of it as a good luck." Jang E heard this and said, "That's right. Then I'll just make a wish casually." After he finished speaking, he opened his palm, and a golden coin appeared in his palm. It was a 24K pure gold commemorative coin. Jang E had a lot of this kind of thing in his hand. He usually threw it for fun. Anyway, there was no place to spend it after the end of the world. Seeing this, everyone looked at Jang E with strange eyes. "Good guy, you call this casual?" Jang E was indeed very casual. He didn't believe in these things, but he was in awe. He raised his thumb and threw the gold coin into the dragon-locking well. "I hope we can all be safe and sound, and have no worries about food and clothing." Jang E said so. He didn't have any great ambitions, he just hoped that he and his friends around him could be safe and happy. The people at home started to shout, saying that Jang E did it on purpose. Then a bunch of people surrounded Jang E and asked him to take out the gold coin and make a wish again. Jang E took out a handful of gold coins and let them take whatever they wanted. He also gave one to Liangyang. There were too many gold coins, so everyone made more wishes. Jang E couldn't help but say, "Hey, don't be too greedy. If you make too many wishes, they won't work." Zhou Kur said, "If there really is a god, maybe he is busy now? Everyone is busy making wishes, and he may not be able to hear them. So I have to say a few more. If one can come true, it will be great." Jang E rubbed his forehead and said, "You have learned probability well." After Fatty Su threw the coins, he ran to the side and chatted with Liangyang. Jang E gritted his teeth. He couldn't believe that Fatty Su could make Liangyang laugh nonstop. He secretly used the intelligence system to analyze the lip shapes of the two people, and then he found that Fatty Su was actually telling Liangyang the game's strategy. This can be regarded as a turtle seeing a mung bean, and they fell in love with each other. Fatty Su was talking excitedly and said proudly, "In this situation, I want to recite a poem." He pointed to the dragon-locking well next to him and chanted, "The sky and the earth are vague, and there are black holes on the ground. The yellow dog is white, and the white dog is swollen." Jang E sneered. It's true that he is a dog licker, and every sentence is inseparable. After everyone put in coins and made a wish, they went to the next attraction. But after leaving, Jang E suddenly felt a sense of being spied on from behind. The muscles in his back tightened suddenly. He slowly turned his head, and behind him was only a dragon-locking well surrounded by iron chains and concrete railings, lying alone in the snow. Jang E took a deep breath, ignored it, turned around, and left quickly. After possessing the ability of tracing all things, his intuition was terribly accurate, and he often had an inexplicable feeling. Especially when he was sleeping at night, he occasionally heard something similar to mumbling, echoing in his ears. At first, Jang E thought that he was too tired and needed to rest. But later, this situation occurred more and more frequently. He thought something was wrong with his body, or that he had developed a disease similar to post-war syndrome after the end of the world. But after Zhou Kur's careful examination, the conclusion was that there was nothing wrong with his mind and body. Over time, Jang E could only let this problem go. After all, the frequency of occurrence was not high, and it would not affect his life. "Do I have a physique that can see ghosts?" Jang E smiled bitterly and shook his head. In the next few days, they traveled around the Jing area. Although the weather was cold and many places were no longer fun to play, there were still many places to play. During this time, Jang E and Zhu Zheng also had a phone call. Zhu Zheng naturally hoped that Jang E would agree to the request of the Jing district and participate in the action. But in the end, it was Jang E himself who made the decision. On the other hand, Deng Shintong mobilized the Deng family's relationship and asked people to search for the families of Jang E's partners, and there was a response. The result of the matter was not too unexpected. Those who have family members in Jing, according to their suggestions, according to the information provided by the police, no matching people were found in Jing. There were even several people who were confirmed dead. After hearing this, everyone felt sad, but they had been mentally prepared for it, so they quickly adjusted themselves. So, no one was found alive? Jang E couldn't help asking. Deng Shintong spread his hands helplessly. "You should understand how difficult it is for ordinary people to survive after the end of the world. The ones you want me to find are just ordinary people. If they had soldiers or dignitaries, their survival rate would be much higher. What's more, it's been more than a year since the end of the world. Even those who were still alive at the time have now died after the disaster. The relatives that Jang E's companions were looking for were all parents. They were very old and were indeed prone to death after the end of the world." This was indeed not too unexpected for Jang E. "It's a bit regrettable," Jang E said. However, Deng Shintong changed his tone. "It's not completely without results." When he said this, his eyes suddenly looked at a person, Yang Xinshin. Everyone's eyes fell on her. Yang Xinshin frowned slightly. "Me?" She felt a little puzzled. In this world, She had no close relatives except Jang E. As for the relatives of the Yang family, she didn't care at all. She didn't ask Deng Shintong to help him find anyone, so why did he mention her? Yang Xie said excitedly, "Is there anyone else alive in the Yang families?" Deng Shintong shook his head. "That's not the case. It's just that when I was looking for Miss Yang's connections, I accidentally discovered something very clever." Chapter 1168 Born to be a Different Person. Deng Shintong's clever words made people very curious. Jang E said, "Just say what you want to say. Don't keep us in suspense. Tell me, who did you find?" Deng Shintong didn't say the man's name directly. He took a deep breath, as if trying to calm himself down. "Jang E, did you come to Xingjing this time to see someone you wanted to see but didn't see?" Jang E laughed and scolded. "Nonsense. I don't have any acquaintances in Xingjing. Who do I want to see?" Deng Shintong looked at him with a smile. "Think about it carefully. Is there anyone in Xingjing that you care about?" As soon as the sentence came out, a strange light suddenly bloomed in Yang Xinxin's eyes. Jang E said, "Care about someone? Then there is only one person." The name suddenly emerged. In addition to the owner of the Hell Guillotine ability, the powerful existence codenamed Ho2, who else can make Jang E never forget? Today, Jang E has become a powerful existence with an ability index of 15,000 points. But whenever he thought of the soldiers who were beheaded on the guillotine by the black and white impermanents with soul-catching chains that afternoon, Jang E couldn't help but let out a long sigh. The ability to kill the enemy in seconds from thousands of kilometers away, that powerful force, even now thinking about it, makes Jang E feel like his hair stands on end. Jang E's eyes suddenly became sharp. That is the instinct of animals when they encounter natural enemies. "You mean Xinxin knows Ho too?" Everyone at the scene heard this name, and their expressions became solemn.
How could this be?
Everyone was puzzled. Yang Xinxin no longer had any relatives in Xingjing that she cared about, so how could she be involved with Ho too? Deng Shintong spread his hands. "When I asked someone to investigate Miss Yang's network of contacts, my friend suddenly told me that the information was confidential. Because they found a very confidential person, and all the information about her is the most confidential file in Xingjing. I originally planned to conceal this news. After all, Xingjing has complicated relationships, and it is not strange for anyone to say that they know that important official. But a few days later, I didn't expect that he would take the initiative to come to my door. This is not surprising. When Deng Shintong went to investigate the information about Ho Tu, it would definitely arouse the vigilance of Xingjing's confidential department, and then they started counter-reconnaissance. Deng Shintong looked at Yang Xinxin. In the end, it was discovered that Miss Yang and that Ho Tu were once close friends. Best friends? Yang Xinxin's mouth revealed a hint of contempt, and her eyes were full of arrogance towards secular people. "Except for Kuran, I have no other close friends," she said coldly. Lu Kuran giggled, her face full of sweetness. "Ahem, that Miss Yang used to study in Zhongting Primary School, right?" Deng Shintong asked. Zhongting Primary School, not many people know this name. Even if you ask some locals in Xingjing, they only know about traditional famous schools such as Experimental Primary School. Zhongting Primary School is a school with a very low-key reputation, but its strength is definitely not low-key. Because this school only cultivates one kind of people, real geniuses. No matter how powerful your family is, if your child does not have a high enough IQ, you can't enter this school. Of course, this is just a theoretical statement. In fact, this kind of school that is only prepared for top geniuses, even if the children of the rich and powerful come in, they will only be confused and can't keep up with the teaching pace. And Yang Xinxin, this genius who is measured to have an IQ of 164 after birth, close to the great physicist Einstein, naturally also stayed in this college. Obviously, people from such a place can easily become top figures in a certain field. Yang Xinxin's expression was extremely calm. Looking at her appearance, it seemed that she had guessed who that person was. "What does she want to do?" "She wants to see you," Deng Shintong said. "I need to think about it," Yang Xinxin said. Deng Shintong nodded. "The other party said that they would respect your opinion, but the person who came said that he represented Xingjing. Please think carefully. Because that Ho-Tu seems to be looking forward to meeting you. Jang E's heart became more and more curious. He looked at Yang Xinshin and wondered what kind of relationship she had with Ho-Tu, and what kind of person was that Ho-Tu. But according to Yang Xinshin's information, Ho-Tu should not be too old, about 20 years old. Yang Xinshin came over, pulled Jang E's sleeve, and went to the back by herself. She took Jang E into her room and closed the door with her backhand. Who is that person? Are you familiar with her? Jang E asked curiously. Yang Xinshin nodded. If Ho-Tu is her, it makes sense. She told Jang E a secret of Huashu country. In fact, the country has always had projects of human science research, which is to develop the potential of the human body and discover some geniuses with special abilities. Jang E nodded. It's similar to the existence of the junior class back then. Yang Xinshin shook her head. It's not just a genius in the ordinary sense. Intelligence is only one aspect. She raised her head, and under her thick black bangs were deep and beautiful eyes like the sea. There are also special abilities. Jang E was silent for a moment. Now it should be called superpowers, right? In the past, superpowers often appeared in film and television works or novels. Occasionally, there are some scientific programs that interview some people who claim to have special abilities, but such programs can basically only be used as side dishes with rice. People who really have powerful superpowers cannot appear openly on the TV programs of Huashu country, because that is something that science cannot explain at present. But most people believe that there must be some people in this world who have abilities that ordinary people do not have. The population is large enough. Even if there is only a 1 in a billion chance of mutation, there will always be mutants. This is determined by the gene sequence. So, Ho-Tu is such an existence? Jang E sat on the bed, sighed, and looked at the ceiling. A person who mutated and possessed superpowers before the end of the world. Right? Yang Xinshin nodded. Yes. She is a real person. Perhaps it can be said that she is the only person born with superpowers. Because she has possessed some extraordinary power since she was born, she was sent to Jing for research. When I met her, she had already demonstrated many incredible powers. Chapter 1169. Ho-Tu's Past. As Yang Xinshin narrated, the veil of Ho-Tu was slowly unveiled. Ho-Tu, whose original name was Manhwa, is 19 years old this year, the same age as Yang Xinshin. Her family background is not outstanding. Her mother is just an ordinary middle school teacher, and her father is a third-rate scientist who is dedicated to the study of human science. Before Manhwa was born, her father Yuan was not famous. Instead, he was despised and neglected by people in the academic circle because of the so-called human potential development project he had been insisting on researching. It was not until Manhwa was born and grew up to 6 years old that Yuan suddenly announced to the public that his daughter had superpowers. At that time, the people of Huashu country had already gone through the Qigong craze of the last century and sneered at the so-called special functions of the human body. So people regarded Yuan's family as liars. However, Yuan did not give up. He chose to exhaust his family wealth and brought his daughter to Jing to promote his so-called special function theory. Yang Xinshin said slowly, at that time in Jing, although most of the mainstream media were dismissive of this and were only interested in exposing their scam, but there are still a small number of people who firmly believe that supernatural powers exist. Among them, there is a big man who tested Manhwa. And the final result is that it was found that Manhwa really has supernatural powers. This ability is reflected here. She pointed to her head with her index finger. Her brain development is different from that of ordinary people. It is said that she can feel the band that ordinary people cannot feel. So she can use telekinesis to achieve some incredible behaviors. Jang E heard this and took a deep breath. Is it related to her current supernatural power? Yang Xinshin nodded. Yes, it is a kind of curse. She said lightly. At that time, she had the ability to curse others and impose disasters. Jang E's breathing became heavier again. No wonder she can kill people thousands of miles away. After knowing Ho-Tu's ability, Jang E's fear of her did not disappear in his heart, but he was a little relaxed. Yang Xinxin continued, "Of course, such a person will naturally be used as a tool by the big shots to deal with their enemies. It's just a pity that her curse ability is not fatal enough, and it can't even cause people to suffer enough dangerous damage. When her ability was first discovered, it was probably just enough to make people fall down when walking, or not win the lottery when drinking black tea. The big shot had great hopes for her, so he sent her to Zhongting Primary School, which specializes in studying children with extraordinary characteristics. That's where I met her." Jang E nodded. "I understand." Although her ability was weak at the beginning, it became stronger and stronger after training. And after the end of the world, her ability ushered in a complete outbreak. "Right?" Yang Xinxin tilted her head and looked at Jang E with a wicked smile on her lips. "It's not so smooth, brothers." She sat on the sofa and elegantly took a sip of the coffee in her hand. Although humans have always been researching extraordinary characteristics, science and technology are far from reaching such an advanced level. Although long-term experiments have been carried out, Guanlongyue's abilities have not made much progress. About 3 years later, that big shot was completely disappointed with Guanlongyue, so he gave up supporting her research. She rolled her eyes, thought for a moment, and then said, "This incident was an unacceptable blow to her parents who pinned all their hopes for the future on her. Her father fell into great loss and seemed to have mental problems. And because he bet all his wealth on Guanlongyue, their family also lost their source of income. Guanyuan couldn't take care of his family, but instead went looking for new sponsors in an even crazier state. But after being abandoned by that big shot, no one was willing to have hope for Guanlongyue. Later I heard that Guanyuan fell from the Shengjing high-speed railway station because of drunkenness and died on the spot. And her mother also chose to commit suicide because of a mental breakdown. Since then, I haven't heard anything about Guanlongyue. Maybe she went to an orphanage, or was adopted by someone." Jang E said lightly, "It's really miserable." He looked at Guanlongyue. "Were you on good terms with her at the beginning?" Guanlongyue shook her head, but the smile on her lips was slightly ironic. "Brother, if you have such a person around you, would you stay close to her?" Jang E thought about it and nodded. "Yes, if there is someone around you who has the ability to curse, then I think everyone will stay away from her." Guanlongyue said, "I was not close to her at that time, and we didn't have much interaction." Jang E frowned and asked in confusion, "If that's the case, then why did she want to see you?" Guanlongyue smiled slightly. "Because, at that time, I was a famous person in school. Compared to other abilities, intellectual superiority is very easy to detect." She pointed to her head, and the smile did not show off at all, but was confident. As a genius with a superior IQ, she is indeed more easily accepted by people because this advantage is very easy to express. So, in my opinion, her purpose in looking for me is very simple, for revenge. Revenge. Revenge for her past, Yang Xinxin said concisely. Jang E understood immediately. There was no grudge between Guanlongyue and Yang Xinxin. But if a person has been very lonely, then after he has achieved great success, he will definitely want to let those who once looked down on him see his glory. It doesn't matter whether Yang Xinxin looks down on Guanlongyue. Guanlongyue needs to show her current strength and prove to the proud child of heaven that she could only look up to, that she is no longer the same person as before. Jang E took a deep breath. "Will it be dangerous?" Yang Xinxin smiled and said to Jang E, "With you, brother, there will be no danger." Although Shengjing district has the title of the most powerful district in Huaxu country, it dare not tear apart with other districts. What's more, now they need you. Guanlongyue has no reason to hurt me. The cost of doing so is too high." Jang E sighed. "Just after listening to you, I think this girl's psychology must be different from that of ordinary people. If it's a crazy guy, I dare not let you meet her." Yang Xinxin said, "But it is necessary to meet her. Brother, you have always been afraid of that person, right?" Chapter 1170, Meeting Old Classmates. Yang Xinxin was right. Jang E really cared about Guanlongyue. After arriving in Shengjing, he thought he could see the legendary Shengjing region's combat power ceiling, but she never showed up. However, Jang E still said to Yang Xinxin, "For me, your safety is the most important." If that woman may pose a threat to you, I don't think it's necessary to go there. Yang Xinshin looked at Jang E and her eyes slowly melted, with a sweet smile on her lips. Brother, I'm very happy that you can think about my safety, but I still hope to go there, even if it's just to get some information. Seeing Yang Xinshin insisting again and again, Jang E said, okay, but when you go there, I will accompany you. Well, okay. Yang Xinshin nodded. Jang E immediately notified Deng Shenong that he could let Yang Xinshin go to meet Guanlongyue. Deng Shintong also contacted the other party immediately and made an appointment at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Someone will come to pick up Yang Xinshin and Jang E and go to the Earth God Temple, where Guanlongyue is. On the other hand, after being warned by Jang E, Fatty Su was a little uneasy at first. He was hesitant in his heart and didn't know how to deal with the relationship with Li Yangyang. Although they didn't know each other for a long time, they both had common hobbies. For example, games, figurines, pillows, and other two-dimensional peripheral products. There is a feeling called familiarity at first sight, and he had this vivid feeling when he met Li Yangyang. Fatty Su knew very well that it was not false, because it is not so easy to be a fat otaku. If you don't have many years of experience as a two-dimensional monkey, you won't know so much about the various knowledge in the industry. So the common hobby between Li Yangyang and him must be true. But how to deal with the relationship between the two? All his melancholy collapsed the moment he met Li Yangyang outside the door. Li Yangyang put her hands behind her back and looked at him with a smile. Classmate Qinling, are you done? She said, taking out a game console from behind and shaking it in her palm. You must help me clear the level today. The haze on Fatty Su's face was swept away, and his eyes lit up instantly. Okay. With me here, isn't this a piece of cake? The two came to a room next door, and Li Yangyang sat next to Fatty Su without any hesitation. Come on, I've been playing this level for a long time, but I can't get through it. Today you have to show me how to get through it. She sat next to Fatty Su, and a sweet scent came into Fatty Su's nose. Li Yangyang's actions were not at all shy with Fatty Su, but a touch of her arm could make Fatty Su's heart flutter and his face blush. He quietly looked at Li Yangyang, who was concentrating on playing games next to him. While he was glad that he could meet such a good girl, he also had some self-doubt. Is it true that a fat otaku like me would have such a good girl like me? I'm fat, not handsome, and I don't have the strong strength and excellent eloquence like Jang E. Does she like me, or does she just treat me as an ordinary game friend? Fatty Su couldn't help but think of what Jang E said to him, and he was a little suspicious in his heart. Is there any purpose for such a good girl like Li Yangyang to approach him actively? But all this disappeared when Li Yangyang gently elbowed him and said coquettishly, Hey, why are you standing there like an idiot? Hurry up and log in. Yangyang must like me. Hee hee. Fatty Su thought happily. The next morning, the people sent by Jing arrived at the door of Zhang Yi's residence. A black luxury RV stopped there and respectfully invited Jang E and Yang Xinshin to get in the car. Jang E and Yang Xinshin looked at each other and smiled as they took her into the car. The roads in Jing are very wide, and there is no pressure to accommodate 10 cars at the same time. At this time, the road was clean and deserted. Except for the Longming guards of Jing and a small number of special staff, no one was moving outside. The car drove north and came to the central area of Ming Imperial City. After passing through several palace gates, they finally arrived at Guanlongyue's residence, the Earth God Temple. This is the most heavily guarded place in Jing. After approaching here, Jang E found that the number of captain-level aliens alone reached double digits. And there were at least hundreds of aliens with a strength of more than 5,000 points patrolling nearby. Today, it was very grand here. Every few meters on both sides of the wide road stood a strong alien with an upright posture and extraordinary momentum. Passing through the palace gate, you can see the majestic hall standing in the center of the palace wall from afar. It is a retro-modern building, more than 20 meters high, covering an area of more than 1,000 square meters. The bright yellow glazed tiles on the top are not made of ordinary glazed tiles, but they have the same majesty as the ancient imperial palace. There are huge open spaces around the Earth God Temple, and the courtyard alone covers dozens of acres. In such an environment, no one will have the opportunity to approach quietly. Because there are powerful firepower networks everywhere near the palace, and there are many top-level aliens in charge. Jang E saw this and had some thoughts in his mind. After the car arrived here, the speed of driving slowed down. At the end of the road, they saw Shang Dawen, the commander-in-chief of Longming Guard, who was wearing a white outfit with blue patterns, waiting for them with a smile. Jang E shook Yang Xinshin's hand. "Just follow our instructions if there is anything," he said to Yang Xinshin. Yang Xinshin nodded and smiled. "Don't worry, brother. There will be no problem." The car stopped, and the guards beside immediately came to open the door and respectfully asked the two to get out of the car. Jang E took Yang Xinshin's hand and led her to Shang Dawen. Behind Shang Dawen was the huge and magnificent Earth God Temple. When approaching, it gave people a more shocking feeling, as if a huge heavenly palace stood in the center of Jing, and people had to crane their necks to see its full view. "Mr. Chaos, Miss Yang. Welcome to both of you. Huda has been waiting for you for a long time." His eyes fell on Yang Xinshin, with a gentleman's smile on his face. Then he glanced at Jang E. "As for Mr. Chaos, please wait outside the temple for a while." Jang E glanced at Yang Xinshin, who gave him a reassuring look. Jang E nodded, "Okay." Yang Xinshin walked forward at Shang Dawen's gesture. She looked up and saw the steps leading to the temple of the Earth God were as high as if they were going to the sky. She gently lifted the hem of her skirt with her fingers and then walked up step by step with light steps. Thanks for staying tuned. This video ends here. Please subscribe for more videos.